everyone, welcome back to my channel. So for today's case I'm going to be talking to you about is the Carrie Nelson case. So it was the 20th of May 2001, a Sunday. 20-year-old Carrie Nelson was working at the Blue Mountain State Park in Rock County in southwestern Minnesota in the United States. She attended college in South Dakota but had been working at the Blue Mountain State Park part-time for 2 years. She was a seasonal worker there. Her main role involved her in working in the contact station, which was located at the park entrance. She had to greet visitors to the park, and also she sold a vehicle and camping permits to the campers. Carrie enjoyed working there as it was a very active role, and she got to meet a lot of different people. At the Blue Mountain State Park, there was a campground, climbing sites, an interpretive center, a park residence and contact station. On the 20th of May, Carrie was working the 8 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. shift. There was just one other employee working with her on that day, Rebecca White. Worked as the interpretive center host, but as it was her only second day working at the park. Carrie spent most of her days showing her around. Rebecca's father, Richard White, was a manager at the Blue Mountain State Park, and it was on that day he was at home with his wife. They lived in the residence on the park grounds, and at 12:45 p.m. Rebecca left the contact station and took the park motor. And this was the vehicle to the interpretive center. Carrie was alone in the contact station when Rebecca had left. The interpretive center was on the other side of the park. Rebecca had finished at the interpretive center just before 2 p.m. and she went to her house to go and get changed. It was raining that day and she wanted to change her clothes. Rebecca lived with her parents at the residence on the park grounds. Rebecca went back to the contact station a little after 2:30 p.m. She entered via the back entrance and saw Carrie was lying on the floor. She saw that there was also blood on Carrie's ear, and also it looked like Carrie had been attacked. At the same time, Rebecca heard the sound of someone entering the contact station via the front door. So she ran to the back door and across her home and told her parents that something happened to Carrie. Rebecca was afraid that whoever entered the station via this front door was the same person that attacked Carrie. Her mother then called 911 and Richard ran to the contact station. He checked Carrie's pulse and discovered that she was in fact dead. He called 911, locked the front door and turned the open sign to closed and then lowered the shades. The person who had entered via the front door was a visitor, and this was to the park and was looking to purchase a permit. When she went inside, she saw that there was a fax machine receiver hanging down from its cord, and she had walked closer towards the counter. She could then see Carrie on the ground, and this was behind the counter. She left the station and called 911. 3 911 calls were made that day from the park. The first call was from Richard's wife Rhonda at 2:44 p.m. The second call was from Richard, and a third was from the visitor to the park. At 3:30 p.m. Carrie's boyfriend, Mike Kellum, had called her. He knew she was due to leave work at that time. He was at the wake of Wyndham. Carrie did not answer her phone, so then he called her office phone, but there had been no answer. Mike did not know it then, but Carrie was also dead by that time. Police arrived at the park minutes after this 911 call took place. 2 grey bank bags were then missing from the contact station, and the cash in the safe, around $2,000, was also missing. It looked like there was a struggle that had taken place inside the contact station, and there was paper scattered all over the back area. And this was of the station, and the fax machine receiver was hanging from its cord. There was blood on the floor and ceiling of the office and on the counter. A chair armrest had been broken, and there was a broken piece of plastic from the chair on the office floor. A piece of Blue Mounds engraved rock was on the floor next to Carrie. The engraved rock was an item that was kept in the office, but police could not find the rest of this rock. A packet of Dora Light 100 cigarettes and a broken Field Ranger wristwatch had then been found on the floor besides Carrie's body. Police spoke to everyone at the park. A couple who were camping at the park told police that they saw Carrie outside the contact station at 1:30 p.m. and it was at that afternoon. A camper saw Carrie inside the contact station at 1:52 p.m. as they went inside to purchase a permit from her. Police found a letter Carrie had been writing to her boyfriend. She had put the date and time on it, and it was 2 p.m. Police believe that she was attacked between 2 p.m. and 2:30 p.m., give or take a few minutes. The couple camping at the park had told police that they saw a two-door Oldsmobile or Monte Carlo, a large white car with a brown vinyl top, driving past the campsite just before 2:30 p.m. It was speeding, and Carrie's death had then been ruled as a homicide. The autopsy determined that her cause of death was a result of blunt force trauma, and there had been multiple traumatic injuries to her head. Carrie had been struck on the head a minimum of 5 times, but the pathologist believed that the number of times she was struck may have been even greater than that. The pathologist determined that the blows to Carrie's head were carried out with a great deal of force. A flat, reddish-coloured rock engraved with a buffalo and the words of Blue Mounds State Park was missing from the contact station. It was later found in a creek. The pathologist determined that the rock was likely used to inflict Carrie's head injuries. A piece of rock was found beside Carrie's body inside the office. Police had obtained some DNA samples from the contact station. All of the blood stains matched Carrie's DNA. 5 DNA mixtures profiles that contained the DNA of 3 or more individuals were present on the broken wristwatch that was found close to Carrie's body. A search of the Minnesota Forensic Database and other DNA sample database for profile that matched the unknown DNA sample from the watch and resulted in no matches, and as a result the case had gone cold. In the years that followed, DNA techniques then improved and the DNA found on the wristwatch was then looked again. A cleaner mixture was obtained as a result of new techniques, and due to that the police carried out further searches of the Minnesota DNA database, and this was in April 2007, and a search of the database from the surrounding states. The state of South Dakota had then found a possible match, Randy Lee Royal Swaney. Randy was in prison in South Dakota at the time that the police had obtained new DNA, and this was from him. It was confirmed that he could not be eliminated as a contributor in any of the DNA mixtures that had been found on the watch. Further searches determined that his wife, Dawn Swaney, could have contributed to some of the DNA mixtures on the watch as well. Randy's name was not mentioned earlier in the investigation, and he was not one of the visitors that was listed in the park. And there was no known connection between him and Carrie, so police needed more evidence than the DNA mixture from the watch. Randy's finger and palm prints was compared against the latent prints that were found in the contact station, and 2 palm prints was found on a counter, and that was at the counter in the contact station where they was identified as Randy and his right arm palm print. Left palm print, left thumb print was found on the 2001 Blue Mount Wrist Series flyer. The flyers were found scattered on the floor of the contact station besides Carrie's body. Police spoke to Dawn Swanee and then checked out her alibi then for the rest of the day of when Carrie was murdered. Police confirmed Dawn was at work that day, but then hoped that she would assist them in their investigation. She allowed police to search a storage unit that she had rented, and the police found some family photos that helped with the investigation. Randy was in some of the photos wearing a Field Ranger wristwatch and smoking Dorolight hundreds. There were other photos that showed him driving a cream-coloured 1984 Oldsmobile Delta 88 with a brown vinyl top. After the police had spoke to Dawn, she spoke to Randy on the prison phone. The call had been recorded. She asked him if he was involved in Carrie's murder and mentioned a time in May 2001 when the car was damaged. He told Dawn that he was not involved and that he had never even been to Blue Mound State Park. In 2007, a grand jury indicated that Randy, for 7 counts of murder, the indictment contained 3 counts of first-degree murder and also 4 counts of second-degree murder. Randy had pleaded not guilty. It was the prosecution's case that Carrie was killed by Randy during a burglary at the park office. They believed that they was thought that the contact station was empty that day when he went inside, and he took the money from the cash register, and it was the prosecution's case that Carrie confronted him and he hit her, possibly on the nose, and dragged her on the back room so that he would say that they opened the safe. As he dragged her, they believed that he applied pressure to her neck and her top, and her necklace was used as the ligatures. It was the case that as soon as he got the money from the safe, Randy struck Carrie a number of times across the head with an engraved rock so that she would not be able to identify him. The prosecution called witnesses who then had testified in relation to the DNA and print evidence that had been found in the contact station. One of the employees from the park gave evidence that she puts the 2001 Blue Mound Writers Series flyers on display in the office just 4 days before Carrie was murdered. Members of Randy's own family testified that he smoked Dorolight hundreds hard packs and often wore a wristwatch, and owned a 1984 Oldsmobile Delta 88 in 2001. The jury heard from 2 inmates. One testified that Randy was familiar with the Blue Mound State Park and he knew his watch was left at the scene of Carrie's murder. The second inmate said that after police spoke to Randy in relation to Carrie's murder, Randy told him that they got me this time and I'm going to do life. It was the defence's case that Randy was not at the park that day and did not murder Carrie. Randy testified at his trial. He said that on the day, the 20th of May 2001, he was driving the Oldsmobile, but he went to Vermilion in South Dakota, and he had spent some time there that day, and he was doing fishing. Randy told the court that he was alone that day. He said he crashed the car into a tree stump on the way home, and that was what caused the damage to the car. Despite Randy initially claiming that he never even been to Blue Mound State Park, he testified that he may have visited the contact station at some stage to ask about some camping rates. But he said he wasn't there in May 2001. The prosecution asked him for an explanation out to how his finger and palm prints was found on the 2001 Blue Mountain Writers series flyer if he had not visited in May. The court had already heard from the employee at the park who testified that she only put them flyers out 4 days before Carrie's murder. Randy could not prove or provide any explanation. It was the defence's case that the inmates were lying. They told the court that his submitted evidence in relation to the inconsistencies is one of the inmates' account and that he was known as a prison rat. Cellmate of the second inmate who gave evidence on behalf of the prosecution was called to give some evidence on behalf of the defense. He claimed that Randy did not say they got me this time and I'm going to do life. After the police spoke to him, the defense argued that another man may be responsible for Carrie's murder. They introduced alternative perpetrator evidence regarding Anthony Flowers. Anthony escaped from prison in South Dakota and was on the run from the 1st of May 2001 until the 1st of June 2001. The inmate Stephen Layton testified at Randy's trial that Anthony told him that he had murdered Carrie and he was there that day with a woman, but the prosecution believed that Anthony wanted to be blamed for the murder, as it would mean he would not have to move to a different prison. The jury deliberated for 6 hours and they found Randy guilty on 3 counts of first-degree murder, 4 counts of second-degree murder, and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. At his sentencing hearing, Randy addressed Carrie's family and told them that he was innocent, and he told them that there is still a murderer out there. Okay then everyone, so that is today's case. If you enjoyed it, please like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and I see you again next time. Take care. Bye bye.